Hello, I'm here with Rainer from Toshiba. Could you please say a few words about you and your company?
Yeah, I'm from Toshiba. We are manufacturing hard disk drives, only hard disk drives, no SSDs anymore. That's a different company nowadays.
Kioxia.
Kioxia, right. And I'm taking care of the business development and the technical support for all EMEA customers, so including Europe, the Middle East, and Africa.
Okay. For the last decade, we heard that SSDs will take the market, and it didn't happen. Why is that?
Well, SSDs took a part of the hard disk drive market. Like 20 years ago, we had hard disk drives in all our PCs, all our laptops, all our desktop PCs, all our iPods and mobile phones.
That's
So
correct.
the first generation
There's a hard drive in iPod.
yeah, the
You're right.
first generation of iPods had hard disk drive. We had hard disk drives in
Very
some
small one,
smartphones actually. Capacities were small, flash was too expensive, but then kind of the classical kind of innovator's dilemma. So flash took over because it became more economic, more robust for everything which we were carrying around. Flash took over the SSDs for the laptops. Flash took over for kind of any more or less any client applications. Even a all-in-one desktop computer today has a flash. Flash also took over for the booting of servers. We don't boot from hard disk drives anymore.
That's right.
We always boot from SSDs. Flash took not over for the mass storage because flash is still 10 times more expensive. And when you have mass storage, when you have terabytes and petabytes of mass storage, you simply cannot afford flash. And here, for this kind of larger capacities, well, the hard disk drive has its limitation. It's way slower than the flash, definitely. Factor 4 or 5 in terms of sequential, factor 100 in terms of random data. So the hard disk drive is slower. The single hard disk drive compared to a flash component is way slower. But I just said we need high capacity storage. That means we don't need a single hard disk drive. We need many hard disk drives. Many slow hard disk drives combined together will give, in all configurations where we are talking about, let's say, several dozen terabytes to the single, double, triple petabytes, the hard disk drive array is always fast enough for what we want to do with it. This is why hard disk drives are still there. They are just fast enough, and most importantly, they offer the best price per capacity. That's the key feature.
Okay. Toshiba roadmap is like 40 terabytes, 2026. What's happening on the market right now with your drives? How you are able to put more data? Because when I was in college, I remember like I have hard drive like, I don't know, 2-3 gigabytes. And right now you have few thousand times more.
Yeah. So at the moment, the highest capacity point we are selling right now in highest quantities is 24 terabyte in the 3.5 inch. We are about to launch the 28 terabyte soon. Basically, the current 24 terabyte is 10 platters. Yeah, the 28 terabyte will have 11 platters. Then we have already announced our 12 platter technology. Yeah, will be productized in next year. We call it the 40 terabyte class. So there will be an SMR drive, probably around 40 terabyte, and a CMR drive a little bit less. But this
and you did a very important change which enabled you to release the 12 platter, because you need to thinner drives and you needed to change material. That's correct?
So thinner platters. Basically everything is thinner. It's not just the platter, also the arm, the head, everything becomes thinner, everything becomes miniaturized.
Because it needs to be fit in the same chassis.
Yeah. So it was a piece of work, but it's a kind of mechanical work, and our engineers are excellent in mechanical work. So they mastered this 12 terabyte. we know from all we can see today is that the current recording technology, the microwave assisted one, may run out of steam around this 40 terabyte class. Or maybe someone come up with 13 platter, but I doubt that. That will be too thin. So we need a new recording technology. And this is this heat assisted magnetic recording where we kind of soften the magnetic material with a laser. Yeah, then it's like the wax of a candle. So it's soft. We can easily swap it with way less energy, so we can miniaturize even more, and then it hardens again. So this is our technology for the 50 terabyte, 60 terabyte, and potentially, from physical point of view, it can bring 100, 200 terabyte. We just don't know when, and we just so far don't know whether we can manufacture it for a reasonable price. Technology-wise, it's confirmed up to, let's say, 50 terabyte, and in a few years, this technology will kind of take over the market and will bring us these capacity points.
There's a very sophisticated technology behind it, because you need to pin the laser in a spot which is which size is even smaller than the laser wavelength.
So we need a transducer in order to focus it. It's a complicated technology, but well, actually, it's semiconductor technology. Semiconductor technology has been always miniaturized. So
We're working right now on atom levels. To be honest, like bricks. It's crazy.
Even the flight height of the head is 3 to 5 nanometer. Yeah, that's well, you cannot imagine. That's 3 to 5 nanometer. Yeah,
it's crazy, to be honest. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out how many atoms is that, but it's we are really getting on a
Let me tell you a story with this 4 nanometer.
Okay.
So no one can imagine 4 nanometer. Humans cannot imagine. Let's take a 1 terabyte hard disk drive, an old ordinary 1 terabyte hard disk drive. The data is in circles. If we kind of lay it out straight, if we wind it up, lay it out straight, the 1 terabyte is about a kilometer. So what happens is, and it reads and writes within 1 hour through the SATA interface. So there is a head flying 1 kilometer in 1 hour with a height of 4 nanometer. As I said, humans cannot imagine. Let's scale the whole thing by a factor of 1,000.
Okay.
Then our 4 nanometer becomes 4 micrometer.
Okay.
4 micrometer, people can imagine, because that's about a tenth of the human hair.
Okay.
Human hair, you can see under a microscope, a tenth of that. Our 1 kilometer will become 1,000 kilometer. So we are in Rust, you came from Warsaw, right?
Yeah.
This is about 1,000 kilometer, a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So our hard disk drive's head would fly in 1 hour from Rust to Warsaw with over the hills with
So
the
it's
height
few times faster than a plane.
Yeah. So 1,000 kilometer in 1 hour is 1,000 kilometers per hour. So we will fly with 1,000 kilometers per hour from here to your hometown with the height of a tenth of the human hair. And if you do the math about the bits that we are observing, reading and writing, that's basically the size of the grasshalm. So we are counting the grasshalms from here to Warsaw with a tenth of a human hair. And actually, the platter of the drive is not even. Yeah, there are some hills, like the hills you were passing when you came with the car. And also this, we have to follow.
It's hard to imagine, to be honest.
On this hard disk drive, we don't adjust the size. We don't adjust the flight height by screws or micromechanics. That wouldn't work. No, what we are doing is we are flying on a gas cushion. Due to the friction, there's a gas cushion, and if the head recognizes that the magnetic strength is too low, it implies it's too high. Then we have a small spoiler, like in the car, on the head. The spoiler goes down. The spoiler goes down. It presses more to the cushion and adjusts the 4 nanometer. If the strength then is too high, it goes up and it flies higher. And this is dynamic. with one turn, it happens several times just to fly.
Crazy.
This is a hard disk drive.
Once I heard that. What's the precision you position the head over the path? Like 15 nanometers? That's correct.
Yeah, so a few dozen nanometers. Yeah.
Okay, so and you're doing mechanically. To be honest, it's the most advanced machine on the world.
And we are selling it for quite a cheap price.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. In terms of AI, because usually if you think about AI, you think about large amount of data. It needs to be processed. It needs to be processed fast. How HDDs fits into that market?
Well, the current approach for AI needs algorithms, needs compute power. So we have the algorithms that have been developed a long time ago and new algorithms coming. We have the compute power mainly fueled by the GPUs. And the AI is best if it can develop its models out of huge data sets. The bigger the data sets, the more accurate the model generation, the model development, the model calibration is. So let me tell you another story.
Okay.
If you look at historic and current approaches towards AI,
Okay.
if you check the history, you can find 3 times when AI became popular.
Okay.
In the middle of the 60s, they developed the algorithms. There were a lot of discussion about artificial intelligence in
Fuzzy logic, neural networks.
This is all from the 60s. It didn't become a business model. It didn't become widely adopted because they were lacking the compute power, because at that time we were still on a transistor level, and they were lacking the storage supporting that artificial intelligence, because we were on punch cards.
And the first hard drives, not hard drives, like just those magnet drives with the magnet rings. It was like 1 megabytes.
Coincidentally, Toshiba entered the hard disk drive business in 1967, 1 year before I was born, with machines like washing machine sizes, platters like this, and a few megabytes of storage. So it became quiet about AI for let's say 15, almost 20 years. Back at the end of the 80s, mainly beginning of the 90s, we had, due to the miniaturization of the microchips, we had enough compute power. So there was another hype. Beginning of the 90s, we did expert systems, we did hardware accelerators, ASICs. But still at that time, the hard disk drive was a brick like this, with 100, 200, 300 megabyte. It was okay for our compute applications at that time, but it was by far not enough storage for doing any reasonable artificial intelligence. So it became quiet again for,
Another
almost
20 years.
20, 25 years. And I mean, for me as a hard disk drive guy, I tend to say that the current AI boom is because of us. Because now we have the hard disk drives that can support that. Of course, NVIDIA would say it's because of our GPUs. But today we have the algorithm of the 60s, we have the compute power that have been developed over the time, and now we have the high capacity hard disk drive, 24 terabyte in large chunks. We also have the kind of worldwide connection of the data. But let's say a current AI model development engine, you need the GPUs, but you need large storage. The larger, the better to load the data in and to do the model development. And this is basically what creates the current market. And, in terms of storage, in the past, mankind, or all of us, were storing data like we were storing papers. So I need this paper. I need it for archiving because it's my account statement from 3 years ago. I need this. This is the shopping list from last week, and I can throw it away.
Okay.
So this was so far the paradigm how to store data. Today, with this AI stuff, it has fundamentally changed. We store everything because it may be used for the future. We even generate data. I mean, look at these small batches that they are distributed. This is just for data generation. Some data generated, and some guys want
to locate us on the fair.
They want to develop models. Yeah, they don't know what exactly to do with it, but they want to trial this data to develop models. So we are not just storing data that we have created somehow by intention and decide that we should keep it. We are storing all data, and we are generating data just to have it.
When I started using AI, it hit me that answers of AI was like it was lacking context. I mean that I think that we underestimate amount of knowledge we gather when we grow, when we start young and grow older, and we, like baby teaches through watching the parents how they behave, etc. We underestimate the amount of the data we gathered through the first years, and that's why AI answers were like answers of a little baby, and you need to gather the data data which seems even to be unimportant,
right?
And that's the context for AI right now.
Yeah, let's call it. You need to accumulate experience, digital experience, and this implies not only the things that you can judge as important, because you may come in the future to a situation where things that you experienced in the past and you have forgotten, but they are still there in your mind, help you to cope with a situation. And this is what
to understand the world, to understand how things work.
And this is what AI is doing. Kind of the more data, the better it understands what is required today, the more accurate the model will be developed, can be calibrated, can be verified. And this fuels our sales, this fuels the amount of data capacity to be installed, and this contributes to the current situation.
Okay. And what's the future of hard drives? Will it be with us in the next 10 years?
Well, I told you that from our current planning for concrete products, we can with some level of confidence, we can say that of the 40, 50 terabyte hard disk drive in the 3.5 inch may come in the next couple of years.
Okay.
Beyond that, okay, let's get one step back. For complex technical products manufactured high reliable quality in large quantities, sold for a reasonable price, like hard disk drives, we need 3 preconditions to fulfill to have a product. The one is there should be a demand for that product. If there's no demand, obviously, if there's no demand for the
it doesn't
product,
make sense to produce anything.
No one will develop it. What we said before about AI, I guess there is a demand. If today someone come up with a 200 terabyte hard disk drive, someone will buy it. Actually, have you seen at Kioxia? They have a 245 terabyte SSD. So apparently there's a market for any kind of capacity. So condition fulfilled. The second one is it need to be physically, technically possible at all. If there's a demand for something that you cannot build because of physics, there won't be a product either. So for that, as of today, we can say with the current hard disk drive technology, heat assist magnetic recording, optimization, going to the physical limits, I would say as of today, the 200 terabyte hard disk drive could be possible, maybe even 300 terabyte in a hard disk drive. Yeah, technically possible. But there's a third condition. And the third condition is we have to manufacture it at a cost level that leads to a price that you guys out there are willing to pay for it. Or in other words,
and it needs to be
reliable.
That's correct.
So in other words, maybe today, if we throw in an enormous amount of investment in R&D, fab, and everything, we could launch a 100 terabyte hard disk drive. But the production economics and the depreciation of development costs and everything would lead to a price of, let's say, $5,000 or 5,000 euro. So 5,000 euro for a 100 terabyte hard disk drive. Yeah, if we sell the 24 terabyte for a handful hundreds, then you can buy 24 terabytes for less than 2,000. Why should you buy something for 5 or 10,000?
Yes. That's correct.
This doesn't work. So basically what we have to do is we bring the next capacity points to a cost or price level that matches the previous one at least, if not even undercut it in terms of cost per capacity. And this is the bottom line. As long as we as industry can manage that, hard disk drive capacities will grow. As long as we can manage it, they may grow up to 200, 300 terabyte. As soon as this is not possible anymore, the fact that it is physically possible does not mean anything. We have to be able to manufacture it for a price that makes sense. If we cannot do that anymore, then hard disk drive may slowly phase out. But then, well, we will still manufacture them as long as there's no alternative technology available, which goes for cheaper price. And there are no technologies in sight that go for, well, there are technologies in sight like DNA storage and laser storage on crystals. But as long as they are not, in terms of production, commercial price lower than the capacity for hard disk drives, we will still manufacture hard disk drives. And for me personally, whenever this happens, I will be long time retired, so I don't mind.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the great talk.
My pleasure. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.